Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show, a member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Go to podbros.com, find a podcast that I promise you is not as good as this one. Listen to it, help support them, but please listen to us more. And don't forget to go to bigjujitsu.com, buy a t-shirt, buy a patch, and catch up with some of the other episodes. I'm Rob, not quite sure if I'm still the Lord Humongous, and it's just me right now today, but I do have a very special guest with us today. Joining us by the phone through the magic of the internet, since, you know, she's all the way out there in North Carolina, I'm all the way here in Germany. I have Mary Holmes on the show today. So, Mary, thank you for taking time out of your day to come on our show and talk a little bit about jiu-jitsu.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. So, Mary, I know you recently competed in the Cage Side Concussion Cast, which I'm very jealous that I didn't get to see. So, how'd that go for you?
It went well. I had a match against Lori Porsche from Beta Academy, and Lori's pretty great. She's good at all the things that I'm bad at defending, and I was actually really nervous going into the match. A friend and I were talking about her before the match. She had recently won a really quick match against a very competitive black belt in the no-gi submission tournament, and so I was kind of freaking out about my foot lock escapes.
Yeah.
But it worked out that I was able to sweep her and pass her guard and get on her back and end up finishing with an armbar. So it was good, but
Nice.
It was really fun and it was a learning experience.
Outstanding. That's really good. I'm glad you got that. And that's even better because that's like one of those tough things you walk into and you're like, oh shit, this person's got their stuff together, and then you beat them.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Well, and Lori is really a wonderful, nice person. I saw her at Pan Am's before our concussion cast match, and we knew we were going to have the match, and we were just laughing and joking around. So, I don't want to. It's weird. It's easier, I think, to go against people that I don't know, because there's no worry about am I being a jerk and so. But it was still fun, and we had a fun time afterwards, talking and hanging out and talking about trying to train together more. So yeah, it was good.
That's perfect. So how did you get started in jiu-jitsu? What put you towards it, or how'd you get involved?
In jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
So you break up a little bit, but I got started. So no, totally fine. I was taking these cardio kickboxing classes out at the Quest Center in Capitol Hill. And then I went back to nursing school to get my BSN. And so I could still take those classes during the day lots of times. But then my schedule changed, and I wanted another workout class. And so they were having kind of some no-gi grappling classes. And then I had also read this book called The Stunt Woman's Handbook or whatever. And so it's talking about how wrestling is one of the best forms of exercise. So I was like, great, I need exercise. This sounds cool. So I did a couple of the no-gi grappling classes here and there, but not regularly. And I would say this would be the end of 2007, beginning of 2008. And then in May of 2008, I got a gi, and I took the gi grappling class, and that's when I officially started jiu-jitsu, and I was hooked. I was training twice a day, every day, and my school schedule and my work schedule worked out that I could. So it was morning class, evening class, whatever I could do, I was training, and this was just immediately sucked in. I did my first tournament 3 months after I started, and so I've been doing it ever since.
Dang, that's pretty nice. That's just how
Yeah.
It is funny how people just kind of fall into it some ways. They're not they specifically go out and look for, I want Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Then you're just oh shit, there are people rolling on the ground doing submissions. That's kind of that's cool looking, or you might just drive by a school or whatnot.
Yeah. So it was, I had a friend that I actually worked with who was doing classes there that weren't just the kickboxing classes. We did the cardio kickboxing classes, or that's what I did. When I started, we just push the bag and kick things and do push-ups, right?
Yeah.
And I had recently quit smoking a few years ago, and I was trying to not smoke anymore. And I've been running, but it just wasn't quite the same. So, but one day we did this workout where you kick the bag and then you grapple for a minute. And I was like 30 pounds heavier than this girl. And she ended up like choking me over and over and over again. And this was like around the time that I was trying to take on these extra classes to make up for the ones I was missing. And it's like, oh crap. Like, I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is a thing. And it made me think of, you know, one, this is fun and I want to learn how to do this. And I wasn't quite as scared of it as I think some other people would be for starting. And two, it made me realize, like, if I'm out running, and I used to run at night a lot, if someone were to grab me and, like, pull me away, I wouldn't be able to defend myself. You know, if this 100-pound girl can, like, choke me, like, I'm in a lot of trouble. So it was another cool reason to kind of get started and stay in it. And you know, I wasn't, necessarily, like, I'm looking for something where I, like, beat people up and submit people necessarily. It was more like this just kind of fell into place into where I was at this point in time.
No, that's a perfect reason to get started. I mean, so
Yeah.
I've had conversations with my wife before, and she doesn't,
Yeah.
like, she sees me and she's like, oh, it's all the competitions, and you're like, you know, now I'm getting ready for an MMA fight.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to somebody like my wife, who is, I'm trying to get her involved, and what would you say to her if you had this conversation now about getting started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for women?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's hard because I think a lot of us who train, we want everyone else to train too. But I think it takes a specific type of person to get into it, and I think especially a specific type of woman. And you have to be ready for it, because I'm not saying that anyone can't do it. I'm just saying, like, that weird kind of change in the lack of personal space and this weird kind of vulnerability, it can be an issue at first. And also, too, like, Jason Colbert, who's, like, one of my favorite people, I heard him talking to Gene Kim about it. But people don't like learning that they're not good at something. So when you first start, you're definitely not very good at it.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to come with the mindset that you're going to get beaten up. You're going to be in really uncomfortable positions, but other people, like, are there to help you. So I think that for women especially, especially like guard and being stuck underneath people is really scary. And so I think a good way to to help women get started is to have them, like, work with other women initially, or talk, like, to them about, you know, these are terrible situations you're in. You are really vulnerable right now, but we're going to take care of you, and we're going to teach you how to, like, protect yourself in these situations. Like, the goal is to know that this is worst case scenario, but even in worst case scenario, we're going to help you learn how to be safe, you know? And so I try to think about that when I talk to other people about it, like, that I don't necessarily have to win. I don't necessarily have to submit everyone, but I do have to keep myself safe at all times. So that's a big reason that I keep training, and, like, I keep coming back, you know, like, every time I go, I'm like, or I go to class and I roll with, like, a new white belt who's strong and isn't necessarily using jiu-jitsu or doesn't do what you expect. I realize, like, how vulnerable I am in certain situations, and it reminds me, okay, like, you've got to do this, you've got to use leverage, you've got to think about not letting them get to this point. Like, you can't just flop around and let people kind of pass your guard willy-nilly in these situations. This is self-defense. This is, you know, I don't know if that helps, but that's what I think about now.
No, it makes sense. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But I think for, especially guys with their wives, I think the other issue too, and vice versa for women with their boyfriends or husbands, like, I think that some people can train together, no problem, but then there's some people who cannot roll together, that are in a relationship or dating or married. Like, it brings us up, like, that it becomes so much more personal. Like, you should have cranked on that, or you shouldn't have done that, or, you know, you use all this strength and technique and you only use flexibility. So I've seen it happen. I don't think it happens every time, but you do have to think about that as well with training, I think.
Yeah, I haven't really thought of that aspect, because it's more of, I used to teach a women's kickboxing course when I was in Arizona with my wife, and she would come to class and she's like, I hate, like, when you teach sometimes and tried to use as much patience as possible, but still like the whole, you're not good at it, and that's okay. You're supposed to not be good at it. It's the beginning of something.
Yeah.
And she would sometimes take it as like I'm being mean to her, but I wasn't. So that aspect you're talking about, like even afterwards, I can see that being an issue as well. I never even thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I think that was part of it. And then, again, like I think I can't remember who told me this. It might have been my friend Heather, who does yoga. That when you are learning a new thing, and you're a teacher and you're teaching yoga or jujitsu or X, Y, and Z, you have to make it accessible enough that people feel like they've accomplished something, but hard enough that they want to come back because they are just at that point where they almost get it, And so kind of like.
Oh shit.
Hello.
I think I lost signal there.
It's okay. I was like, tired of me talking.
No, it's all good because
it's okay.
It's a phone call between the United States and Germany. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened before, but
no, no, but yeah. So I totally understand. I was like, okay, and we're done. I get it.
Like, well, good job, Mary. Terrible interview, and just hang up and walk off. No, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is kind of going back to what we were talking about. So
sure.
It's more of like the whole cranking, like, you cranked on it in class. That wasn't very nice of you. And then like something else, I guess maybe might come into play too, is like you take stuff from home and it comes into training, where a lot of people try to escape what's going on out in the outside world.
Right. Absolutely. And, this is kind of where we go to get like away from everything else. And it's so kind of, I'm not saying that couples can't train together, because some people do it and it's awesome, and I'm amazed. But I think that I do see that, and I have seen that that people kind of bring the stuff from home, like this is what you get for not doing the dishes kind of thing, or I mean just some resentment can come up, and it's not everyone, but it does happen. I think that learning how to like separate the two is important, but at the same time, I think a lot of people want their significant other to do it because, we think about how much we obsess over it. Like, we want someone else to love this as much as we do.
Yeah.
And like, you're just like, and we can have so much fun together. We can train together. And like, we're going to be so good because all we're going to do is drill. We're going to turn like our spare room into a mat room. It's going to be awesome. And, that's our hope. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like a toleration at this point. Like, she supports it, which is great. Like,
yeah.
So so spoiler, like I'm turning 32 tomorrow, so I'm old man, but so she got a birthday cake and surprised me with it. And it was a gi with a purple belt on it, and
nice.
like the podcast logo as a patch. And then I was like, "Holy shit!" And she's like, "This is what I've been doing. I do support you." I'm like,
so like, that's awesome. You're very lucky. Like a lot of other people, like whatever, you should be at jiu-jitsu, so why do I even bother? But no, like that's but that's awesome. I mean, like no, and again, like. Some people just it's not their jam. Like they'll love you and support you and go to all of your matches and your tournaments, but in terms of them doing it themselves, like it's just, and if she wants to, she will, or she'll play around with stuff, like, and so, but it is, as long as I think that your significant other is like accepting of like you doing it, and like knows how much it means to you and is cool with that and supportive, then you're set,
Yeah.
So
it does make a huge difference when
the
UPS guy comes and there's another gi.
Yeah, she's not like, oh god.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
another thing to wash and hold up like progress. No, but but yeah. No, I get it.
That's good. So at your academy, since I'd imagine you're probably one of the more prominent female figures in your academy, do you see a lot of women coming in to do jiu-jitsu more now, or is it just kind of Like, what's the levels you think
Sure.
about?
Sure. No, yeah. So, for a little while, we would so when I first started there, it was me and another woman, and she had considerably more martial arts experience than I did, and I learned a lot from her. And her name's Amy Alley, and then life changed, and so she just didn't get to train much, and then kind of like fell off of training. And then there was a little while that I was kind of like the only woman that was super consistent. Like we'd have women who'd come in and out, but they weren't there all the time.
Right.
And so, but then I would see more and more women kind of in the area, and then more women coming into our school, like because either they trained at another martial art and heard about jiu-jitsu, or they had a boyfriend or friend who did jiu-jitsu, and then people would come in. And then I think having me around as someone who kind of kept coming in and was always there, like I feel like helped a lot of people stick around based on what they told me. I have some people who moved down a couple of years ago. So Chapel Hill being a college town, we get a lot of people who come down for like school, for post-grad, like for graduate school and whatnot, who've done jiu-jitsu somewhere else and now are here and are looking for a new school. And we had a couple who ended up sticking with our school because I was there. Like they had an upper belt female to train with. So that's really, I think it's a great thing. And I think also too that what I do, and I think some other women in the area as well, is that I'm willing to kind of travel and meet like to other schools, to other open mats, and meet more women who then we can then train with or learn from, or have kind of big events where we can all train together, like open mats. And you just kind of get some more people like you. You see that, versus just one chick and a bunch of guys. So, and that can be intimidating. And so when you kind of see people who stuck around, who can do it, so I think it's like what part of the social cognitive theory by Albert Bandura. Like part of it is that you do something and you can do it, but then you also see other people do it, and so you know that you're capable of doing it, like people who look like you. So I think that it has helped. I think that having upper belts around for new women to come to and say, I keep getting set on by this guy and I don't know what I'm doing. What do I do? Like having that resource, because if your instructor is like a 220-pound guy and you're 110 pounds, you're not going to necessarily feel like you're going to get the right answer, or like you're like, this guy doesn't go through this. He doesn't feel what I'm going through. He has no idea. And he may or he may not, but like when you're like a small white belt female, like you kind of want to find someone who looks like you to figure out how to deal with it. So it's a long answer. Sorry.
No, it's long but good answer. So I'll take that. Right. All right. Yeah. So Mary,
yes.
As you know, I gave you a message about it. We already practiced this on James Hoffman. Oh, okay. Are you psyching yourself up?
Ooh, yeah. Like,
no right.
way.
It's,
Can I Google?
No, you cannot Google. That is the one. Like, it's honor system. So if you're like,
okay.
I'm terrible at trivia, I've never seen MMA, and you're like, oh, the guy in 1993, the one who, I was like, well, huh? All right, we might be able to figure that out. However, it's 10 questions. The noises for a correct answer or wrong answer will be edited in later, but I will tell you if it's correct or wrong. All right. The score to beat currently is 5.
Oh, God.
To be at the top, all right? So you got to do better than 50%. 5 general knowledge questions, 5 MMA questions.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I'll try.
Right. We have a couple more new ones. We have a couple different ones in here.
Okay.
So it might make life a little easier because we kind of softballed a few in the earlier ones, but some of these are kind of difficult. So I'll let you choose. Do you want to start with general knowledge or do you want to start with MMA?
Why don't we'll start with MMA because I know nothing about it. Just go ahead and.
All right. Let's see here.
All right.
Can you name
a
pair of brothers who have fought in the UFC?
The Diaz brothers.
Can you give me
Boxing Jiu-Jitsu. Nate and Nick. Yeah.
That is correct. All right, so we're 1 for 1 right now.
Yay, Mary! Okay.
All right, second question.
Okay.
Who was the winner of Season 4 of The Ultimate Fighter who knocked out George St. Pierre to win the UFC title?
Oh, gosh. Really?
Yeah.
I thought George St. Pierre was like the unstoppable man.
Oh, he got stopped, and I laughed. I laughed pretty hard, not at his fate, but I was so happy to see this guy win it.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so bad at this. I know, wasn't BJ Penn in his weight class? Was it BJ Penn? I don't know. Probably not.
No,
okay, I don't know.
It was Matt Serra.
Matt Serra. Oh, I know who that is. But I didn't know that about Season 4 of The Ultimate Fighter.
All right, so
I told you I'm bad at it.
No, hey, 50%, right? If you keep it this way, you will tie for the top position. Okay, so back in the early 2000s, there was a Pride Grand Prix. One UFC fighter was allowed to participate in the Pride Grand Prix and was beaten by Quentin Rampage Jackson. Who was that UFC fighter?
Oh gosh, beaten by Rampage.
In Pride.
I know.
In
Pride.
And I'll give you a hint. He came back. So when he went back to the UFC years later, say 2007, I think it was. Rampage came to UFC, and then knocked him out.
Rampage knocked him out? I'm so bad because I know who these people are, but I don't know who fought who. It's kind of like all the comic book people. Like, I know they exist, but I don't know who's in each other's comic books. Who did Rampage knock out? My boyfriend's trying to help me.
He cannot help you. That is unfair.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Is it the crow cop guy? I don't know.
That is incorrect. It was Chuck Liddell was knocked out twice by Quentin Rampage Jackson.
Oh, I thought everybody knocked out Chuck Liddell. I don't know. I'm lying. I'm just kidding. I'm sure Chuck Liddell could beat me silly.
Well,
I'm not.
Chuck Liddell could beat a lot of people silly, but it just seems to be his last run in the UFC all ended in him getting knocked out. So, so 1 for 3 right now. That's okay. It's okay.
No. Okay. We know my weak areas.
So we're going to spring off of Chuck Liddell again.
Okay.
We're
Chuck
keeping
Liddell.
all like Pride and stuff, right? So a gentleman came from Pride, a well-known fighter from Brazil. Stepped into the ring at the UFC and said he kind of maybe had a translation problem. Tried to say, I want to fight Chuck, but said, I want to fuck Chuck. Who was that Brazilian guy?
He said he wanted to make sexual advances towards Chuck Liddell.
He originally said he tried to say fight, but I guess it came out wrong. And he said, I want to fuck Chuck. And he's like, fight Chuck.
Whoops. Oh my gosh. When was this?
I want to say it was about 2007, 2008 as well.
2007, 2008. Let's see. I'm trying to think who all is in the same group. From Brazil.
5 seconds.
I don't know. Oh my gosh. Anderson Silva.
That is incorrect. You are half right. It was Vanderlei Silva.
Vanderlei Silva. Oh, that guy.
Yeah. Yes, that guy.
Okay.
And there you go. So
I'm just laughing off the embarrassment.
No, these actually, if you haven't been watching for a while, like these are kind of hard.
Yeah.
Like some of them, I was like, oh shit, it was that guy. Wow, I completely forgot.
Yeah, it's the thing is when people say Pride, I'm like, oh, I know that's a thing. I don't know much about it. So, like, people are like, you don't know who this is? I'm like, no.
I'm just as mad now at the UFC. If like, oh, did you watch the so-and-so fight? I'm like, who? I've been really seriously watching it since 2009.
Who is that? Yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't know. But, no, sorry. But I'm learning a lot, and I've got a lot of research to do.
There you go. Yeah, just watch a few. All right, so last MMA one. Okay?
Okay.
A special match was set up with Kazushi Sakuraba, which lasted 90 minutes. At the end, Helio Gracie threw in the towel for this Gracie.
Oh, was that for him with Hoyler? Or was it Hoist?
You got to make your pick. I'm going to let you make your pick between the two.
I can't remember. I always mix this one up. With Sakuraba, I know that he fought both of them. I thought that he threw in the towel for Hoyler. I think it's Hoyler. I could be wrong. And Hoist will be really mad at me when he finds out tomorrow. I am. So.
Which one are you going with?
Hoyler.
That is incorrect. It was Hoist.
It was Hoist? I was like, I knew it was one or the other. And Hoist is like our dude, and I'm like, he shouldn't be worried. He's really mad at me. And it's like, it's one or the other. I know he fought both of them.
I'll tell you what.
Sorry.
Like, just don't tell him you did this episode until after the seminar, like, after he goes back home.
Well, then it's just me having so much, yeah, whatever.
It's all good. Hey, it's a trivia game. You know your jiu-jitsu. You're good, right? All right, so general knowledge.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
Is Japan closer to the North Pole or the South Pole?
Is Japan closer to the North Pole or the South Pole?
Yep.
It is. It should be closer to, I would imagine, it's in the Northern Hemisphere. So I would technically say the North Pole. I don't know.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Sounds like a trick question. I was like, it's the Northern Hemisphere.
It is closer to the North Pole.
I was like, what's the trick here?
No, there is none. All right.
Good. Okay.
Good.
Because of the trivia. Okay.
We got 2 now, right? 2 right answers.
Yeah.
You're doing good. 2 for 6. Hey, if you knock all these out, you'll be at the top spot. All right.
Okay.
Here's a little science one.
Oh,
By
God.
what common name is sodium bicarbonate otherwise known as? That's sodium bicarbonate.
Baking soda.
That is correct. So now we're up to 3 of 7. Doing good. Who co-wrote, directed, and starred in the 1971 movie Bananas?
Woody Allen.
That is correct. What is that? 4 of 8 right now. So you are at 50%. So you rallied back. 2 more questions.
Okay.
2 more questions.
Okay.
On which planet? Oh my God. All right, I'm going to keep going since I already started with it. On which planet did the spacecraft Venus 8 land in 1972?
Venus 8?
Yep, land in 1972.
1972 on which planet?
Yes.
I mean, I would want to say Venus, but because it says Venus, but I don't know if any craft has landed on Venus, has there? I think that we've just been Mars, but I could be wrong. I'll try to be not trick myself, and I'll just say Venus.
That is correct. Venus. So you're at 5 of 9 now. You are at least tied for the top.
Okay.
All right. What 1990s fad involves something known as a slammer?
A slammer in 1990s?
Yep.
A slammer?
Yeah. What 1990s fad involved something known as a slammer?
Oh, good. Man, I love the 90s. Oh, God. What the hell
5 seconds.
I don't know.
No answer?
I was doing so well. Yeah.
The correct answer is Pogs.
Pogs.
Remember the little cardboard?
Provocative.
Yep. You put them all on top, then you slam the thing on top, and if you flip them over, you get to like keep them on your side or whatever it was.
God, I grew up in like the swamp. We didn't have that shit. I'm sorry.
I grew up. I grew up like Fuquay Varina, but I went to Catholic school in Raleigh, so of course we had Pogs out there.
Yeah, we didn't have that. We were lucky when we finally got slap braces in 2009. You know, like we were way behind.
Those are still cool. It's 2016, and those things are still cool in my opinion.
I remember they came out and you could get them, and then people were like, "Oh, they're banned from school because people were cutting their wrists with them when they tried to slap the bracelets on themselves." So, anyway, I definitely got to work on my MMA trivia.
Hey, that's fine. You're tied for first place. You're still in the bracket. So, before we finish our podcast, Mary, do you have any shout-outs you'd like to give?
I want to. Can I give two? One.
You can give as many as you want.
Thank you. So definitely to my teammates in Chapel Hill Grace Jiu-Jitsu. Love those guys, and please, like anyone, if you're listening, please come out and train with us. We are over at the over off Fordham Boulevard in Ramsgate Plaza, and then also to my good friends out at Forge Fitness and Cary that I train with frequently. And I also wanted to say that I normally don't do stuff like this, but a very wonderful person, Brian Griffin, and his wife Amber recently lost their daughter, and I just wanted to let them know that we're all thinking of them, and just to have people send positive energy or prayers or kind of whatever your thing is towards them and their family right now.
Dang, I know that's rough. So, definitely sending that out to them. So,
yeah.
Well, let's end it on a positive note. Mary, awesome time on the show. Really do appreciate you spending some time talking about. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
But, hey, maybe we'll give you another shot in the future. More than likely.
Oh, thanks for having me, and thanks for supporting Lake Area Jiu-Jitsu.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this has been the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. A member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Go to podbros.com and find one of those lesser podcasts that you might listen to, but it ain't going to be your main one. And don't forget to go to bigjujitsu.com, buy something from the store, listen to past episodes, and look at who some of our trivia champions. Don't forget to go to iTunes and rate and review us. Remember, 25 reviews, and I give away a show you roll. I'm Rob, and we'll catch you all next time.